Live.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Kevin Allen. I'm joined by my usual broadcast partner, former NHL defenseman Tom Laidlaw, played 11 seasons for the New York Rangers and Los Angeles Kings. This is the Laidlaw and Allen Report. Come to you twice a week to talk all things hockey and a few other things. And of course, this is a very big day in the hockey world. Brian Burke used to call it the day where general managers make more mistakes than they make combined all the other days of the year. And because this is the day they sign all the free agents and the free agent signing day. It's almost like a holiday, Tom.
Yeah, it has become that, right? It's a kind of exciting time for all the fans and everything, too. It's turned into a big deal. And it is weird. Like, it's not, other sports, you don't see a flurry like this when they start signing free agents. It seems like all in one day. And then there are other signings that happen during the summer, but so much happens on this one day. It's not like other sports. In fact, I've heard people say, well, like, why are you rushing around so much in hockey? Why not just take your time? Especially as players, when they've got all the leverage, why not take your time? But so it happens.
Well, and what's always interesting in the NHL is that they give you the green flag at 12 at noon, and then at 12:01 there's a flurry of signings. So within 60 seconds, because you're not allowed to talk to them prior to that, teams somehow manage to negotiate multi-year, multi-million-dollar deals with a variety of athletes. So by 12:30 we have I don't know, 40%, 50% of the players sign. I mean, that's an exaggeration, but that's the way it feels.
And there's so much game plan going on too. I remember as an agent, you're trying to shop around, give the image that there's so many people that are after your player, right? In some cases, it's the truth. I found for me, there's some agents like really built kind of a bad reputation, so general managers didn't believe them. So if an agent was trying to say, "Oh, I've got 10 teams after this guy," the general manager's going, "Do you really have 10 teams?" They kind of hurt them. So it's a lot of interest in the personalities, the reputations of people, both on the GM side and on the agent side as well. So.
Well, actually, it's never 10, because 10 sounds like you're making up. I'm always amused that it's always 11 teams.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. You always hear, I've got 11 teams interested, what makes it sound more legitimate. Right. Like if you say 10 or 5 or 15. Then it sounds like you're making it up. But 11, that's just a kind of an odd number. That's what I've always felt. But big news last night, later in the evening, or I don't know, maybe it was early evening, but Evgeny Malkin, after everyone, there had been a pronouncement that he was probably going to test the marketplace because he couldn't get the extra deal or the extra year on his deal, was able to negotiate a deal with the Penguins management. He got the fourth year, which he wanted, for $6.1 million. I thought this was a win by everyone. I think the Penguins really didn't want to lose him. They want to stay competitive. They're not rebuilding. They're not retooling. They're going for it. Yep. And I don't see how you could go for it without the Crosby Malkin 1-2 punch. And it's a.
So Kevin's frozen there a little bit. Just talking about Malkin staying in Pittsburgh, and I agree with Kevin what he's saying. Go ahead.
You're back.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I don't know what it'll be like at 39. Just like Letang got a 6-year deal, he's actually older than Malkin. I don't know what he'll be like at 41. But this allows them to keep that salary cap hit down. It's reasonable for the Penguins to deal with. They'll worry about later, and they'll go for it now. And if you're the fans of Pittsburgh, Malkin has served you well. 16 years, 444 goals. Has been your guy, and now it looks like he will retire as a Penguin, as will Letang. And I'm sure Crosby's not going anywhere. Yeah, so you're going to end up with a lot of a few of your heroes from those back-to-back Stanley Cup years, and then going back to 2009 as well, that are going to be lifelong Penguins. I mean, that's pretty darn impressive.
Yeah, it is. And it's a good business deal too, right? Because the Penguins were sold a couple years ago now. Has it been 2 years?
Yeah.
Sold. And the new owners are coming in and saying, okay, the building's packed when you go in there. It's a great crowd. They've obviously have success at the gate. And, that's partly tied. Now, Crosby would still be there too, but Letang and Malkin are the other part of that. People come to see those players play. They buy the jerseys. They do they spend all the money they spend. Again, Crosby's the main draw, but those other guys are there too. So I think it's a great deal all around. It's just, to see those guys playing someplace else. It's like, Brian Leetch, when he left the Rangers, didn't finish here. Ray Bourque didn't finish in Boston. Just was kind of, listen, it's not the end of the world, but it's just kind of weird seeing those great players move on to other places at the end of their career.
Well, for sure. There is an expression, and I bet I'm not alone in disliking it, and that is, it's just business.
Yeah.
I hate that expression. I understand it, especially in the sports world. You can't just give athletes what they want. And to be honest with you, I think that the fan base is rarely sympathetic to players in contract negotiations because we simply can't comprehend. We can't relate to the difference between 6 million and 7 million, or 5 and 4 million. So oftentimes fans side with the teams just because they think, you're getting paid 24 million to chase pucks around for 20 minutes per game. So they can't really relate to that. But what's often not thought about is that when you're negotiating a contract, you're thinking about the money, but if the team has got to say, but we think you're old, you're not at the level, your wheels are coming off, that's hard to hear, because I think because you're putting your heart and soul into this organization and the team, and it just seems harsh. That's why the need for agents is there, because they're going to try to keep that all from the player. So
and those are some difficult conversations. So the agent now talks to the general manager. The general manager says all the things he doesn't want to say to the player. And now the agent's got a tricky role, right? Because he can't go destroy his player and tell him exactly what's it. So he's got to filter that a little bit without lying to him. And it's a tough thing.
Right.
Yeah. The other part of that too is the, players signing contracts for less than what they should get really hurts all the other players. And the Players Association really pushes the players to get the most that they can. So it isn't just that one player, what the money he's getting, but there's that loyalty thing to the rest of the Players Association too. Ray Bourque for a long time took a lot of heat from the Players Association. When Bob Goodenow was running the Players Association, they called him the walking salary cap. But I looked at, he took less than what he should have gotten from the Boston Bruins, but that's the way he wanted to be. That's the kind of guy he was. He wanted to, whether he was talked into it or whatever it is, he decided to play that way. And I thought, if you're a player at any level, but particularly at that level, you have the right to do what you want to do. If you want to take less, if the theory is, maybe Sidney Crosby wants to take less in Pittsburgh than maybe what he could get, so that they have more room under the cap, so they can win championships. That's Sidney Crosby's deal. So in one way, you got to admire it, but there's a lot of pressure, at least on those star players, to really go and get maximum dollars.
Yeah, it is complicated because, you fight for the individual rights of players, and then when they exercise their rights to do something they want to do, the union might be mad at them because it's not in the best interest of the masses. So, so their rights, and then, I remember talking to Ray Bourque about the specific issue, and he said, we all, there was the strike in the 90s, and that was it, controlling your likeness, your face, and all that kind of stuff. And then, I get to this point now, they're saying, well, yeah, but you really can't decide to stay in Boston for less. You got to go out and, take more. And he said, well, what was that all about? It's kind of like the Animal Farm, where all pigs are created equal, except some are created more equal than others. So
I have never heard that one before. That's good. That's good.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, we digress, but lots going on. Evander Kane, just as we kind of predicted, what Connor McDavid wants, Connor McDavid gets, and I really think that is the right way to go in this situation. If you're Edmonton, he's earned that right, Tom.
Absolutely.
Connor McDavid has earned the right to go in and to say, I need Evander Kane on that wall. I want him on that wall. So
he's on that wall.
Yeah, he's on that wall, and they got him, and they got him for a reasonable amount of money. Let's give Evander Kane some credit, recognizing that, hey, look, he might have got more money elsewhere, but it's better to be at the left hand of the king here in Edmonton.
So 4 years, $20.5 million. So just a little over $5 million a year. Does that tell us? Okay, a few things. Does that tell us? First of all, nobody else was really offering that number of years. I mean, because it could make sense, right? Other teams are saying, I'm not giving this guy 5 years. I'm not giving him 4 years. I'll give you 2 years, or I'll give you 3 years. But with your history,
I think that's fair, Tom. You might be right on that. But saying that, I bet he had other options.
Yeah, I'm sure he did. But I would, and I think you're right. The other teams would say, okay, yeah, we want the player that we saw this past season with the Edmonton Oilers. That's what we want. But we don't think if we give you a 5 or 6 year deal that's a smart move for you or for us. So the teams are offering the 2 or 3 years. Yeah. So, and maybe the 2 or 3 years was an average salary higher than that as well. Because, man, he's a good player. Like the $5 million is pretty light for him, really. But I mean, under the circumstances.
It is light for him. But the other thing that's sitting out there is the arbitrator is going to rule at some point, and then he could revert to San Jose, and then he'd have to be traded to Edmonton, but he'd have to be traded on the old contract.
I don't understand that. Unless there's already some agreement, I can't. You know what? Before next show, I'm going to find out. I'm going to make some phone calls to find out what's going on with that. Because that baffles me. I don't know how they're going to get around.
It's very confusing because my basic understanding of that you can't allow that CBA to be bent.
Yeah, totally.
In any way, shape, or form, because then you've established a precedent.
Yes, that's exactly the truth. And that's what both sides do not want to happen. They write down that CBA. That's the way it is. And once they figure if they change it once, then everybody's going to want to change it for certain clauses. So just everybody understands Evander Kane, when he was in San Jose, he got some trouble gambling and other stuff. The San Jose Sharks then voided the contract, which the league and the team obviously felt they were able to do that. Once that happened, then the player then filed a grievance, and that's where it sits now with an arbitrator trying to determine whether he should get his old contract that was still enforced in San Jose, or he said unrestricted free agent. So again, what Kevin's bringing up is exactly right. It's how do they get out of this? You can't change a contract. It can't be unless, and like Kevin said, I don't think they would have done this. Two parties being the league and the Players Association get together and say, okay, for this case, we'll allow a negotiation where we can negotiate our way out of that old contract. But again, I doubt that happened.
Yeah, because the CBA is the gospel, according to Donald Beer and Gary Bettman. I mean, that's this was negotiated, and this is supposed to be able to, it dictates the lives of the people involved. And so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But anyway, I really like that. Let's leave aside, the issues about whether Evander Kane can, stay out of trouble. But if we believe that he's the player that we saw last season with the Oilers, this is a terrific signing for the Oilers. If you're Connor McDavid, you're very happy. He gives Connor McDavid a lot more freedom to do what he needs to do out there, and I really like the signing, and I think it makes the Oilers a much more dangerous hockey team.
Absolutely, get a goaltender there now. He's a 30-goal guy, a big, tough, physical guy that can skate. I agree. That's fantastic. Yeah.
Well, we think they have a goalie. I mean, everybody's just assuming that it's Jack Campbell at $5 million over 5. I mean, it seems like it's all been done, but
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but. I mean, we'll see. If that's the case, I think that's a really good contract. I think, what is that? It seems like a good compromise because he probably wanted more money, but he got more term instead. And, now he's looking probably not at the $5 million where he wanted 6, but he's looking at $25 million over, the 5 years.
Right. It's going to go from $24 million over 4 years. It's $25 million over 5. So,
yeah. So, and that would be good. It almost seems like the goaltending picture is pretty clear now. I guess this leaves Kemper for Washington.
Right.
So Campbell going to Edmonton. What we really don't know would be Buffalo, and I would say Samsonov would be a good choice. Although a lot of people think he's going to go to Toronto as the Plan B option in case Matt Murray. But it feels like
the Leafs got Matt Murray.
Yeah, that was a couple of days ago, but yes.
I missed that one. I just missed it altogether. Really?
Yeah.
That was the rumor. Remember we talked about that being the rumor?
Yeah. I don't love that deal from the Maple Leafs perspective.
I got to tell you, and I don't know the man. I feel awful saying this, but Kyle Dubas, that's the general manager there at the Toronto Maple Leafs, I'm not sold he knows what he's doing there. Like Matt Murray was in the minors last year. You're in a market like the Toronto market. You've got all those star players you're spending all that money on, and now your goaltender is Matt Murray.
Is he the goaltender on Team Eichel with Duchesne and Eichel?
Oh, definitely. Well, it's not with those guys. There's a little bit of an attitude issue. I don't think he's got an attitude issue. It's a
performance issue.
Yeah, performance issue. So I guess he qualifies for the team, but maybe
for different reasons. So we're going to actually have to post that team, put it on Facebook.
Yes.
Sometimes I lose track of all the guys that are.
I know it's tough, but they come and go. I mean, some guys get off, they get themselves in shape, and they get off the line.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That makes sense. That makes sense. So, Matt Murray.
I did not know that happened. Matt Murray is the goaltender for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Oh man.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. Well, and if they end up getting Samsonov, and I don't think that's a great option. I mean, Samsonov didn't play particularly well for Washington, so.
Is Campbell a free agent?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he can't sign yet. So he may have.
No, it's a done deal.
Right. And they sent Talbot gets sent to Ottawa.
Correct. Right? After Bill Guerin told Mike Russo, the reporter, that he didn't give a bleep about what the agent thought, essentially.
There was Talbot's wife that wrote some stuff too, right? In Twitter.
She did on social media. She said that they weren't real happy about the way, because Fleury had been brought in last year. I mean, we all tend to want to think, not we all, but I think fans tend to think about owning the dollars and all those kinds of things. But there was hurt feelings when Marc-Andre Fleury was brought in last year, and Talbot had been the guy, and he just felt that he had been insulted. They felt.
So so every player around the league now will be sitting down with his significant other, his wife or girlfriend or whatever, and saying, "See, so we were in Minnesota where you got a chance to win the Stanley Cup, nice city to play in and everything like that. Now he's in Ottawa."
Yeah. Not
that Ottawa's a bad city, but they're not contender for the Cup.
Yeah, well, I'll repeat what I said the other day. My wife's going to say what she wants to say.
Right.
But
your wife would not do that, though.
I don't think she would do it like that. But I certainly wouldn't tell her not to say those kinds of things, because that's just not what you do. But right. That doesn't, she's not one who's going to create controversy, and she's going to be smart about those kinds of things.
For every player that's not a star player in professional sports, they should be having a conversation with their. I mean, listen, say you're your own person. You can say what you want to say, but if you're going to make
comments, say that. Say what you want, but don't say that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think what you're really saying is, maybe not. Maybe you're just saying they're going to order them not to say that. But I think what you really is, you want to explain to them the ramifications.
Right. Do you like this lifestyle living here in Minnesota? Do you like the fact that your husband has dreamed all his life of winning a Stanley Cup, and they can both win a Stanley Cup, and now?
But here's the thing, and it's hard to relate that. I mean, do you feel like you win the cup if you're on the bench?
True. Good point. Yeah, you want to play.
Yeah.
But, Fleury isn't a young player. There's always injuries and things happen all the time.
Yeah. No, that's right. That's right. So, and he's in Ottawa, although I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm really starting to like Ottawa's team. I mean, I like the DeBrincat acquisition. They're in there taking a swing at Giroux, who I thought played great for Florida last year. I mean, I really liked how he looked there. So I don't know. They've got some interesting young players. Sanderson, he might have the same level of impact on Ottawa that Seider had on Detroit. I mean, Sanderson's a heck of a prospect.
Oh, right? Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
You're right. Now that I think about it, I guess I just felt like in so many years there, Ottawa was poorly run. And it just seems like now that this Dorian's done a better job of stockpiling assets, getting young players, and retooling. So, yeah.
Yeah. Now, I really thought that the Rangers were going to get Kopp. I mean, it seems like there was a rumbling that this was going to be a done deal. That he really liked playing for the Rangers and all that kind of stuff. And now, just what my original thought was in the middle of last season is that the Red Wings would go after him. He's a Michigan native. He went to the University of Michigan. Larkham knows him. There's a lot of stuff going on. So, but now we're hearing that he might end up with the Red Wings. So,
and who's that again, Kev? Sorry,
Kopp, Andrew Kopp.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
So
Stevie's kind of going for it a little bit.
Well, yeah, I mean, he just wants to be more competitive. I mean, he's not an older guy. He's in his 20s, he's 27 maybe. So
I like him too. He's a good player. He's good. I like. Good.
Yeah,
he's a good guy to have in your team, right? Like a real competitive.
Yeah, I think you win with players like Kopp.
Yeah, totally, absolutely.
Yeah, so I think that would be. And now there's lots of rumors about the Rangers going big, trying to get someone. Yeah, so
in the free agent market or trade?
Yeah, free agent market or a trade, trying to get that center. Right. How long have they been chasing that?
What is going on with Patrick Kane? Has he asked for trade?
I don't know. That seems a little unclear, but. The one thing I think that the fans don't understand about Kane that's well known within the hockey world is what an incredible competitor he is.
Yeah.
Like he competes hard no matter what's going on. And like he's not, and I would assume that
I think people are putting Gallant and Trocheck together because of their history, and maybe it's accurate. It's just I think that's maybe a little bit of speculation too. But
yeah, the Trocheck is one of the guys. I mean, he would be a natural because they do need a second center, and he's a great face-off guy. I think he's in the 54% range on face-off. He's got a little bit of an edge to his game. Not quite as skilled as sometimes you like, but still skilled enough to contribute. So it'll be interesting to see what he commands, the amount of money on the. That's another one that the Red Wings have been linked to because he essentially, even though he was born in Pittsburgh, grew up in the Detroit area, played for Little Caesars teams there. So the folks in Michigan and the Red Wings are keenly aware of his abilities. They've seen him, and he played junior hockey in Michigan as well. And both Kopp and he are the kind of players that Yzerman likes. A little hard-nosed players. So you would think the Red Wings would be in a position to get at least one of those guys.
It was a couple of days ago, but the guy we talked about a lot, Forsberg, stayed in Nashville there, got it done.
Yeah, and actually for less money than I thought. Ended up, when it was said and done, he took 8.5. Yeah. I thought he was going to hold out to say, you got to pay me like Josi.
Clearly it sounds like Poyle said, listen, you're not going to get more than Josi. He's our star player. I know you think you should get more than that, maybe you should. And then the kid finally decided, I want to stay.
Well, if you were Forsberg, you would say, but I am the star player, just like Josi is, because he is.
Yeah, totally.
He's the scoring version. Well, I should say that because Josi had 96 points. He's the forward version of Josi. Yeah,
and he got 8 years, right?
Yeah, he did.
So that's the max that he could have gotten only from Nashville. If he went someplace else, he could have only gotten 7 years. That plays. I'm sure that plays.
Here's the issue with Nashville that we haven't really talked about, and we've all seen this phenomenon, not just in hockey, but we've seen it in all sports. When you get on that treadmill where you're just competitive enough to be in the hunt, but not nearly good enough to compete, and then you get stuck in that rut, and then you don't get draft picks, and you can't get better. I mean, that's why teams tank. That's why the New York Rangers sent a few years ago a letter to their season ticket holders saying, hey, we're going to reset. We're going to start over and try to do it because that's the way they can do it. Nashville ownership there doesn't feel they can do that there. That would not be good. Even though they've won over the fans in Nashville, they're not solidly entrenched enough that they can put up with 6 years of not making the playoffs or whatever it would be. Now the Rangers didn't go through that because they were fortunate and they got able to sign Panarin, and they ended up getting top picks.
Trouba.
Trouba. They've made some deals. So anyway, I think there's a lot of pressure, is the point I'm making, on David Poile to make something happen here the best he can, because they can't afford to reset. And most of their top players are over 30. So.
Sure, I'm sure the season ticket people are saying, listen, if you take Forsberg out of the lineup, now we have to go sell season ticket packages without filling one of our star guys, right? So
right.
See what's happening in Arizona. They've decided to go the other way and tank, right? Tank
in
a big way. And I would question whether that organization is going to ever get back. I maybe once you get stockpiled new players and everything, but it's going to take a long time back there. The owners are going to lose a lot of money.
Well, they're not even trying to get back. They're never been there. There never was.
True. Very true.
It's really kind of fascinating to see what's going to happen. It's Chicago Blackhawks are an interesting thing too, because I think it was ludicrous to trade Alex DeBrincat. He was still 24 years old. He averaged 32 goals. However, when you look at what they ended up with, getting the multiple first-round picks and stuff, at least they have the basis now for a true rebuild. They ended up with a good defenseman and some other top prospects that now all of a sudden they've got a starting list of 3 guys, and then in theory they'll get 3 more next year probably. So
did they make a mistake last year? Because now they went out and got Seth Jones.
Right. Now the rumor is that they've talked to him about him, and he's fine with it. He feels he's still young enough that he could still be part of it. But that he's not, demanding a trade. But really, could they trade a guy? He's got 7 years left at $9 million. I mean,
they could trade Seth Jones.
Yeah, that's hard, don't you think? Trading a guy with $9 million of cap.
I don't think so. I think with him, he's a good enough player. He's a $9 million player. I mean, all those other defensemen, whether it's
have you looked at the salary cap situations? Oh, there's hardly any teams that even have $9 million available.
But to get a Seth Jones, a defenseman like Seth Jones, I think a lot of teams would find a way to get it done, right?
Well, I mean, I'm sure they would look at it, but as I talked to one general manager about it, he pointed out, he goes, the problem with Seth Jones is not only do you got to find room to get $9 million, he said, which none of us have, but more importantly is that plus you got to give up assets in order to get them.
Right.
And he said just makes it difficult. He said not impossible, but if that was the missing piece for you. But he said, have you looked? I mean, I did go and look just recently, and there's just no money that anybody has. The teams that have money are the teams at the bottom, who don't want a $9 million player. I mean, Steve Yzerman has $31 million.
But you're saying to me that Steve Yzerman wouldn't want Seth Jones 7 more years locked in with Seth?
Well, he passed on him in the draft to take Druin. He had a chance to draft him. In fact, he was projected to go to Steve Yzerman because everybody thought Seth Jones, and he passed on him. So,
but now that he sees him playing in the NHL, I hear you with the cap situation. I understand. It's just that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a heck of
a. But I think they feel they have Seth Jones and then some and Moritz Seider.
Yeah, very true. That is true.
And they also have Simon Edvinsson, who is supposed to be almost as good as Seider.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether or not now there are other teams down there. Anaheim Ducks have 30-some million as well. So I mean, and they lost Hampus Lindholm last year. They lost Josh Manson. They traded away. I mean, that seems like a pretty good fit there as well. So
the young man in Philadelphia got bought. Was it Lindblom? Just got bought out.
Yeah,
he went through the cancer battle.
Feels heartless, doesn't it?
Well, and they donated $100,000 to some cancer site. I'm almost like, really? So this young guy battles back from cancer,
right?
And okay, listen, if you have to cut him, you have to cut him. But I almost think the $100,000 is a little bit disingenuous. Like.
Well, I mean, because just so people understand, not only when you cut this guy now, you're buying him out. He's a younger player, so you only got to give him a third.
Yeah,
so he goes from $3 million to $1 million. So this guy battles cancer. In theory, beats it. I mean, I think doctors will tell you it has to be 5 years, but they're very optimistic about it. Yeah. And you really love this kid's attitude. It's been tremendous.
Right.
And then the Flyers come up and say, oh, by the way, you're expecting this $3 million, but you're only going to get one.
Over twice the term, too. So if you've got 1 year at $3 million, you get 2 years at $500,000.
So, I hope you weren't counting on that money.
I know.
So it just feels. I mean, I get it. Like, they're trying to create space. There's rumors they're going after Gaudreau. I mean, intellectually, I totally understand. I mean, I can use the phrase now that everybody hates. It's just business. But it just feels emotionally.
Yeah, and the $100,000 thing is like, really, like that's going to make everything okay. Is it going to make you guys look better because you?
I just felt wrong. I mean, it's kind of like the whole Keith Yandle thing. I would have played Yandle out to the end. What did it matter? They were out of it anyway, and then it would have been someone else's problem.
So just so people know, in a buyout like that, if you're over 26 years old, you get 2/3 of what's left in your contract. If you're under 26 years old, you get 1/3. Rarely does it happen that the player gets bought out under 26 years old, but I guess unique case. So.
I think it was the great Gene Ubriaco, if you remember Gene, who's still, I think, involved with the Chicago Wolves in the American Hockey League, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, Gene Ubriaco once said, hockey is a great sport, but it's a crappy business. And, so.
Yeah, it is too, yeah. I remember I had Dallas Drake. I was playing, he was a client of mine when I was in the agent business, and he was playing in St. Louis. I'd been the captain of the team there as well. And the St. Louis Blues, actually, JD was JD and I are good friends, old teammates, and he was the president GM, I think, at the time. And they bought him out of his contract. And, it was an awkward conversation because it really wasn't expected. And he's a huge part of the organization. Turned out well for Dallas. He went and signed a 1-year contract with the Detroit Red Wings, won the Cup that year. So, but I remember at the time thinking, and I don't know why they did that either. I mean, obviously they had their reasons, but.
Yeah. Well, but there's a lot of things we're going to see where Giroux goes. I mean, he's a pretty big name today that I think everyone, and I think Johnny Gaudreau.
Yes, there's the bell on the ball, right? Is he the bell on the ball right now?
Yeah, I would think that's true. And I kept saying that. People were saying, well, he wanted to stay there, and I said, I don't know why he would. Like the fans there were hard on him.
Yeah.
And
for a U.S. born kid, Calgary is a fantastic city, beautiful.
Oh yeah.
But for U.S.
you like it because they wear cowboy hats there.
That is very true. This is true. Actually, I was at the Calgary Stampede. A good friend of mine, Mike Rogers, he lives in Calgary, so I went out there. Oh God, this had to be in my still a Ranger, I think it was. So it was like my mid-20s, whatever, for the Calgary Stampede. Oh my goodness, that's a party.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And you have how many pair of cowboy boots do you have?
You know what? I got rid of my cowboy boots. I had them for years. They were getting old and everything. And I wasn't wearing them as much, and I got rid of them. And I'm mad at myself. I might buy another pair. So.
Yeah. I'm surprised that you actually gave those away. Did you donate them to Purple Heart or one of those?
I don't know what I did. I was just eventually got rid of them. I wasn't buying as much more. I used to wear them all. Well, you remember all the time, suits and everything. The cowboy.
Yeah. So, yeah, for sure. But I mean, Johnny Gaudreau. I mean, there's lots of rumblings that he's either going to New Jersey or Philadelphia. He's a New Jersey native.
So Philly can't afford it, right? They don't have room.
Well, they don't, but I almost feel like they've got something cooking with Van Riemsdyk going somewhere for so you pay off Buffalo or Detroit or Anaheim.
Here's one I'll throw at you. What about the New York Islanders? I'm going to say they're the dark horse. That Lou finds a way to get it done with Gaudreau.
Well, he's trying to go big. He was. The rumor is that a trade for JT Miller fell apart at the draft, and I've heard them connected with Brent Burns as well.
Yeah.
So
and Burns rumor always also. Geez, I can't talk today with Carolina.
Yeah, Brent Burns with Carolina as well. So
I agree with Susan on this one. I would love to see that happen.
Well, I think they're in on him. I mean, I think they've made a call.
See, that's exactly what they need. I think an offensively talented player with some serious grit. An attitude out there.
It's going to be interesting. He supposedly wants to break the bank. He wants to be paid. So, the Rangers cap position isn't as favorable as it was at last year's trade deadline, but. They've got the money to get it done if they want to do that. So
I wonder if Evander Kane's contract affects Kadri. Similar players, right? skilled guys, tough, physical?
Yeah, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, I mean, because Kadri's the center, which also gives him, a greater.
And I guess in free agency like that, it's really like not setting the market, right? I mean,
no.
Yeah, like Kadri is that unique guy. That'd be nice. I'd like to see that.
Yeah. But and there's some players kind of in the trade market as well. I mean, if Patrick Kane gets traded, talking about another guy, $10 million is his hit. But first of all, I think the Blackhawks will keep a retained salary because they're going to have to get to the floor, so they'll retain a little salary on him.
And then what happens? But what happens with Jonathan Toews then?
Well, Jonathan Toews is not marketable. Somebody would take him, but I don't know. Even at $5 million, I think, because he just isn't the same player.
Yeah.
Since his illness, he just struggled last year to be productive. So I don't know. I mean, some people think he's going to retire when his contract runs out. I don't have any idea, but so
yeah, you don't hear it. He's kind of faded away, right? You don't hear about him anymore. So.
Yeah, no, that's too bad. And I don't know what the what he's thinking, but he's not like Patrick Kane. And the beauty of Patrick Kane is he has only got 1 year left, and that's good if you're Patrick Kane because he'll be an unrestricted free agent. But it's also good for a team trying to take him in because it's hard to take. It's just like I said, $9 million. It's hard to take $10 million in.
So what would you have to give up? So let's say the Rangers. What would you have to give up to get Patrick Kane?
Well, I know I asked that same question to a general manager who basically said, his guess is they're going to be asking for a collection of first round pick, multiple picks, and then your top prospect. For example.
How old is he now? Is he 35?
No, he's not that old.
Oh, he's not that old. Oh, okay.
No. You should look him up, but I think he's like 33 or 34 maybe. So,
geez, I'm thinking if I'm the Rangers, I'm saying, all right, we went to the semifinals without Patrick Kane.
Yeah.
In theory could have gone to the finals. Things gone a different way for you. So do we need to go get Patrick Kane? Do we need to give up all those young assets?
Well, I mean, I think you need a center more. That's what I would say, but it doesn't mean they don't want Patrick Kane.
That's why I'd rather get Kadri. You're not giving up anything to get him. You're going to spend a lot of money. It's cap space that you're eating up.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with Kadri is, he was unbelievable this year, but he has not been unbelievable every season of his career. I think people have seen him, and like, how much you're going to pay him? Like, how much do you think he's worth?
Well, he's going to probably think he's an $8 or $9 million a year guy, right?
Correct. He is.
And he's going to want 7 years.
For sure.
Unrestricted free agent coming off the season he had.
He's certainly not signing for less than 8.5. So
7 years at 8.5 million with the New York Rangers. You're not giving up anything. You're going to have to give up something because you got to make cap space, right?
Yeah, for sure. But I don't think that'll be that hard.
Yeah, I think they put Nemeth. That's a big deal. I think they're going to buy him out as well. They're saying you put him on waivers.
Yeah, I mean, but that saves money. What was he? $3 million? What was his?
Yeah, was it that? Yeah.
So, it's every little bit helps when you're trying to chip away to make that. But I think Kadri would make the Rangers a more complete team because he brings a lot of different elements.
Right. So the Kadri that played last year, if he plays compared to the way Kane played last year, I think Kadri makes a bigger difference. It does more for the year.
Well, for sure, because what you're getting out of Kadri is that edge. Kane is a small player, but he's very competitive and he lifts the team through his competitiveness, and he scores big goals. There's no doubt about that.
But you're right, though. I mean, it's like those gritty games. Kadri's got that attitude to him.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's prickly. You never quite know what he's got. I think we exalt in our sport the guys that play right on the edge of the rule book.
Yeah.
Now we get mad at them when they cross the line.
Yeah.
But we want them to push it and go all the way up to that line, and then we want to hang them upside down, crucify them if they go over the line.
Yeah, we want them on our team too.
Yeah. But don't go over the line.
Yeah.
Well, but be as dirty as you can.
Yeah.
So.
Well, speaking of dirty, I'm thinking of Marchand there up in Boston. What about Boston? Are they involved in any of this stuff?
No. I mean, I think they made their moves last trade deadline and then re-signing Hampus Lindholm. And I think they're trying to get Krejci back.
Yeah.
If they did that, Swayman had a heck of a rookie year. Nobody talks about that, but it looks like they've totally replaced Tuukka Rask with Swayman. I think he's a good young goalie.
Yeah.
And Hampus Lindholm is a really solid defenseman, and he can play in a top pairing role. Yeah. So the biggest problem is their offense, their top line is just a little long in the tooth. They're trying to get Pasternak signed. Talk about a guy that's going to need $8 or $9 million. That'll be Pasternak, because he's a really proven goal scorer, in my opinion. So,
yeah, I agree.
Anyway, well, we've got to go because Tom and I are doing a different podcast. If you want to tune in to us, we'll be at hockeybuzz.com doing a podcast there starting at 11 o'clock. Also, if you want to read what I have to say, I'm working on a column on Malkin, and that should be up on hockeybuzz.com, also DetroitHockeyNow.com.
All right. Happy free agent day to everybody out there. And again, if you want to listen to the radio version of this show, you can go to radio.co at 365 Sports. Everybody join us at 11 o'clock over at hockeybuzz.com. Talk to you. See you, Kemp.